this weekend I went and a good friend of mine had a psychic party, hosted a psychic party. And for those of you who don't know me, I do psychic readings. I do medium readings. So what is a medium reading as opposed to a psychic reading? Well, a psychic reading, I am a psychic medium channel. There are three different things going on with that. There's three different talents, that's abilities that are going on with that. I'm a psychic because I can tap into your psyche and read you. Psychics who predict the future is some sort of Hollywood thing going on, okay? We can predict the future up to a point, but that's not what we're about. And if you have a reading with me and you're going, oh, but I want you to predict my future, I'm going to refer you to somebody else, because that's not what I'm about, okay? I believe in creating your own future, which is a lot of law of attraction stuff. See, I'm weaving in and out. But I am a medium. What does a medium do? They talk to the dead. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm talking to ghosts? Yep, I can talk to ghosts, and I can talk to spirits, and I can talk to your dearly departed. And what is the difference between those three things? There are people who will die and go through what we call a veil or into the light and throw themselves and put themselves into what we call the heavenly realms, okay? And then there are people who are just too scared, probably not watching this program, but they're too scared for whatever reason. Let's say they lived a very negative life, they lived a very unhappy life, they lived a very scared life, they were overly religious, and they believed all the stuff that said, you know, if you're not going to be adhering to the rules and regulations of our belief system, then you're going to go to hell. And so because they didn't do that, then they are now going to be scared, and they don't want to go into heaven because they feel they're going to be judged. And you are judged, but not necessarily by the angelic realms or God or Jesus or anything like that. And that's a whole different conversation. But I do read people who have gone through the veil, who've gone through into the light, the dearly departed. I could go visit a haunted house and talk to somebody who is just hanging around. But most of your dearly departed, your beloved people that reside in heaven, are people that I can talk to. And one of the things that came up this weekend when I was doing all the psychic parties is, and it was on Mother's Day, we talked to a lot of mothers who had passed on and were sending their loves and greetings to their children back home. It's sort of like when you have somebody who has departed and are living in quote unquote heaven. Again, we're just using that term for sake of argument. So we came through I'm not naming names, of course. Anytime you get a reading from me, it's all very confidential. An ethical person will always keep it. It's a bond between you and your spiritual counselor, that consultant, or whatever you want to call me. And I've used all those names. It's a sacred bond between you and me. And I'm not going to spill the beans. Unless you commit a crime and the police come with a warrant, then I'm obligated. But beyond that, you have the same kind of privileges that a lawyer or a priest have. In fact, I actually am a reverend. So you can call me Reverend Blake. Anyway, it's always fascinating to me to have the loved ones come through and the ancestors that come through. And one of the things I was doing was, you know, there was moms, there were husbands, there were ancestors, there were uncles, there were fathers that came through this weekend, just a lot of people. And one of the things that I have done in the past and present is a lot of grief counseling, because when you have a beloved person who is recently passed, there's going to be some grieving period going on. And I have a tendency to help people through that process. And one of the things I really want to tell to anybody who is anticipating a loved one to pass over soon or has done is they're okay. I want to let you know that they're okay. They're getting used to their new digs. They're getting used to their new home. It's sort of a long distance relationship. And they can come and visit you, and real often, if you've got a good relationship with your dearly departed, of course they're going to come visit you. And sometimes even when you don't have a good relationship with you, they will come and visit. I have, I have both parents in heaven. Heaven. And yeah, for the sake of argument, we're just calling it heaven, okay? Somebody's arguing with me. It might be my parents. Um, they were kind of atheist and agnostic, and yet they wound up there too. Does that not tell you something? But I get to talk to them all the time if I want to. Usually, my mother and I do the cooking thing because I didn't, as a teenager, really listen to her when she was trying to teach me how to cook. And as an adult, I just don't cook. I can cook, but my mother really was a good cook. My sister got all those talents and actually listened to my mother. She was much closer to my mother, and I was closer to my father. And he passed when I was 11. So, and I'm finally getting to start to talk to him. And he passed when he was 50. I'm in my 60s now, so it's kind of weird to have a father that is actually younger than you. It's kind of neat at the same time. It really is. But he definitely has a different perspective. And I, as an older person now, and a more mature person, have a different perspective of life than he had, but it's sort of a more one-on-one conversation. And that's the point. You have one-on-one conversations with these people, okay? It's no different than when they were here. You don't have the physicalness of it, but you can have the conversation, especially if you know how. We actually do teach a class that will allow you to talk to your dearly departed ones. It's coming up in June. We'll go into those details in a few minutes. So if you are interested, it might be something you want to talk about and think about. But it is so neat to be able to, I know a lot of people, both here and on the other side. And they are really neat people. I remember when my neighbor's brother-in-law passed. Now, I had seen him in the yard fixing a car with his best friend, who was my neighbor's husband. They were best friends. And my neighbor's husband was devastated when his best friend died. And shortly, I went to the funeral. And of course, every time I go to a funeral, I get invited to a lot of funerals. I'm usually with the dead. I'm usually the person that actually died. And because they see my light, which is, it's all true. You hear them, they gravitate to people with light. And they gravitate to me, and then I strike up a conversation. I remember, and then I can talk to him. And this guy who died horrific, I won't even go into details, but turned out to be a really nice guy. Really nice guy. And it was a shame that I didn't get to know him when he was alive, or at least on this side. But he was doing fine on the other side. And I eventually managed to get that message to his widow. And she was able to heal because she knew that while he was still hanging around, it was okay for her to live her life. And that's the point. You're supposed to be living your life. Don't just because somebody dies, that doesn't give you the excuse to immediately follow them. I know a lot of people who are absolutely devastated when their parents or their husband or wife or brother or sister pass, and they feel like they need to follow. And that's not what this is all about. It's not that it's a sin to commit suicide. In this sense, sin means you're not living up to your potential. And if you commit suicide, you're not living up to your potential. You came here for a reason. And it wasn't to follow your dearly departed into heaven. Sometimes they don't want you to follow them either. They've got their own thing to do, they've got their own self analysis to do. Oh, did I mention in heaven you had to do self analysis? Yeah. See, down here you get free will. Up there, and we use that just as a, heaven's up here, hell's down here, just does. Yeah, you don't have that choice. You have free will up to a point, not like you have down here on the earth plane, okay? In heaven, you don't have the choice, nor do you want it. You want to be able to say, okay, because the thing that people ask you when you're there, God, angels, whoever is up there, saints, whoever you believe that's going to be up there greeting you, they ask you one question. So, did you figure out what you wanted to do, and did you do it? And a lot of times you all say, no, I didn't. I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that, but so what stopped you? No judgment, just what stopped you? They just want to know, they're curious. Now, mind you, they already know because they've been watching you. They've been guiding you and encouraging you to go down the path that you wanted to be down. But for whatever reason, you chose not to do so. And for those of you who actually did so, you come with a astounding yes. And there is a celebration that goes on with that yes that is just, they partied till it was 1999, like it was 1999, There is, oh yes, I did accomplish what I wanted to set out to do. I don't have regrets. I'm happy with what the lifetime I just lived was all about. I think I did a good job. Well then, you did a fantastic job. The fact is you do a fantastic job regardless. It's just when you get up there, you go, oh no, I don't. Because then you get to do a real life review and you go on from there. Now, people who aren't awake, who aren't spiritually inclined, have a whole different belief system and they're going to experience what you believe. And you do, up to a point, do that too. But it's a little bit different. So you're a little bit more awake, you have a little bit more wherewithal. And the point here of all of this, because we're running out of time here on this subject, and we still need to get to our weekly energy report, is that you have a choice. You can live your life the way you want to live it, or you can live it the way other people dictate to you. Know that your dearly departed are always with you, looking after you, even when they're there. Time is completely different. The time flow kind of does this loop-de-loop thing, whereas we're linear. And they're okay. And they love you. And because of their new perspective, they see what's going on Earth. And they really want you to live the life that you were meant to live. So don't go following people. They don't want that. Besides, if they don't want that, you're not going to be able to connect with them anyhow because you guys are out of alignment with each other. The whole alignment thing, same there, same here. So just, you can communicate with your loved ones. And it's a fascinating experience. Allow yourself to tap into that when you can.